Thank you all for coming. I used to have a teacher in school, and she would always start the lesson on time. Her phrase would always be, "Let us not punish those who are on time." Right? Because it was like a punishment for those who showed up on time to not begin. So I'll begin also. Thank you for coming. Today's a very auspicious day. Not because yesterday they had an impeachment vote, but our acharyas, particularly Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, he explains that of all the festivals, it's interesting actually, every festival they'll say this is the most important festival, right? Have you heard this? Janmashtami, this is the most important festival. Radhasmi, this is the most important festival. Guru Purnima, this is the most important festival. But our acharyas say actually of all of these festivals, there are two festivals which are really the most important for us. One of those is Guru Purnima, the appearance day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the other one is, what's the other one? I'll give you a clue, it's today. Yes, the appearance of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And it's interesting because how many of us, even those from India, you can go to India, how many people know who is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Not very many actually. And even out of those who know, they think he's a saint at best, right? So now, what to speak of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who most people don't even know. But we'll explore some things today that may illuminate why this is such an important day for us as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because our entrance into Krishna Prem is through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We'll speak about it. But before we begin, we're going to start with this bhajan, Nadia Godrume. And so the words are up here on the screen. And if you feel inspired, please feel free to sing along. Yeah, so I was about to say, where's your microphone? Nadia Godrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyache Namahata Jivarakaran. Nadia Godrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyache Namahata Jivarakaran. Patiyache Namahata Jivarakaran. Nadia Godrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyache Namahata Jivarakaran. Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyache Namahata Jivarakaran. Shradhavanjan, hey Shradhavanjan. Shradhavanjan, hey Shradhavanjan. Nadia Godrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyache Namahata Jivarakaran. Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyache Namahata Jivarakaran. Nadia Godrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyache Namahata Jivarakaran. Nadia Godrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyache Namahata Jivarakaran. Prabhu Rai Gyai Bhai Magaye Bhiksha. Prabhu Rai Gyai Bhai Magaye Bhiksha. Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha. Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Kora Krishna, Shiksha. Nadiya Godrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyachinam Hatta Jivarakaran. Godrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyachinam Hatta Jivarakaran. Nadiya Godrume, Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyachinam Hatta Jivarakaran. Nityananda Mahajan Patiyache Aparad Shunya Hoy Loho Krishna Nam Aparad Shunya Hoy Loho Krishna Nam Krishna Mata, Krishna Pitta, Krishna Dhana Pran. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pitta, Krishna Dhana Pran. Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyachinam Hata Jivarakaran. Yaudrum Nityananda Mahajan Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan Patiyachinam Hatta Jivarakaran. Krishna rasam sare kori chariyanacha. Krishna rasam sare koro chariyanacha. Jivedoya Krishna nam sarvadamasar. Jivedoya Krishna nam sarvadamarsar. Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan Patiyachinam Hata Jivarakaran. Nadiya Godrume Nityananda Mahajan Patiyachinam Hata Jivarakaran. Patiyachinam Hata Jivarakaran. Shradhabanjan, hey Shradhabanjan. Shradhabanjan, hey Shradhabanjan. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Well, as I mentioned, it's a really auspicious day for us, Sri Nityananda Prabhu's Appearance Day. And I'll start just with a few points before we get into some of the Leela, if that's okay with all of you. I'm glad you said yes, because I would have done it anyway if you hadn't have said that. If you ask many people who are taking to the path of bhakti, what is the goal of our sadhana, what's the goal of what we're doing here, hopefully every day, what will most people say? Huh? Krishna Prem, right? To love Krishna, to go back home, back to Godhead, to Krishna. Priya Kishori, we'll do it at the end. Okay. Priya Kishori was going to sing, but I couldn't live up to the Priya Kishori standard, so at the end, Priya Kishori can come as well. Oh yeah, the translation, that's a great idea. Would someone like to read? It's a microphone right in front of you.
In the land of Nadia, on the island of Godruma, the magnanimous Lord Nityananda has opened up the marketplace of the holy name, meant for the deliverance of all fallen souls. O men of faith, by the order of Lord Gauranga, O brothers, I beg these three requests of you. Chant Krishna, worship Krishna, and follow Krishna's instructions. Being careful to remain free of offenses, just take the holy name of Lord Krishna. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, and Krishna is the treasure of your life. Giving up all improper behavior, carry on your worldly duties only in relation to Krishna. The showing of compassion to all fallen souls by loudly chanting the holy name of Krishna is the essence of all forms of religion.
Well, that's Nityananda Prabhu's mission. So, as I was saying, that a lot of us, we would say our goal here is to attain Krishna Prem, is to go back to Godhead. And that's true on one level, yes, but how does one get there? It's an important question. Who holds the key to Krishna's heart? Because it's not easy to go to Krishna, right? If it was easy, well, it is easy in one sense, but we're not so easy ourselves, so it becomes a little bit more complex for us. But to enter there, to enter into Krishna's service, one has to figure out, how do I get there and who holds that key? Any guesses who holds that key? Huh? Can't hear anyone. Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani, she holds that key to Krishna's heart. Because while Krishna is the object of devotion, Srimati Radharani, she is the epitome of devotion. She's the expression of devotion. And which is more important? It's a trick question. They're both important, right? Because the object of devotion really has not so much meaning when there is no expression of devotion. And the expression of devotion doesn't have so much meaning if you don't know the object of devotion or where you're supposed to go. And Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he's the first expansion of Krishna. Balaram. And Balaram holds a really unique position within Krishna Tattva or Vishnu Tattva or whatever else we may say, in that he serves in every single rasa. His primary goal is simply to expand himself in such a way that he expands Krishna's pleasure. So it's explained that he becomes the land of Vrindavan, he becomes we say the Mridanga is Balaram. He serves as, so that's in one can say in the Shantaras, in the servitude, he's always serving Krishna because he's the elder brother. Also because he's the elder brother, he also serves in that kind of parental relationship. And then the Madhurya relationship we'll put aside for today before we get too esoteric. But his primary focus is simply to put himself in a position to serve, to expand Krishna's pleasure. But what gives Krishna pleasure is when Srimati Radharani, his most beloved, she experiences pleasure. Right? So going back to the point, which is more important, the expression of devotion or the object of devotion? Well, they both are simultaneously one and different at the same time. And so, before I go too off topic and become esoteric and give a whole class about Radharani, today's Nityananda's appearance day, but this is just an understanding that to enter to Krishna, we have to go through the doorway of Radharani's mercy. So the next question becomes, well, how does one get Radharani's mercy? If I have to get Radharani's mercy to Krishna's mercy, how do I get that? Any guesses? Huh? Nityananda Prabhu, you skipped a step. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, like I said, not many people, even in India, who know who Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. But such an important incarnation of the Lord. Again, we can trace back to Radharani, but I won't make this whole class in that way. I'll promise you, this is just the beginning. Which is, it's explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam that even Krishna is bewildered. Even he can't understand his potency. Right? Alex, you were speaking to me about this the other day, right? Which canto? Third canto, 16th chapter in a purport, right? Was it there or was it in a verse that you shared?
Oh, no, it's actually
6th chapter, 9th verse. But anyway, it's explained that even Krishna himself cannot understand his potency. And again, what is the expression of that potency? Is Srimati Radharani. And he can't understand how she loves him so much and what pleasure she derives from loving him in that way and what she sees in him. So much so that he can't understand it. He has to come to experience it. And this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna who comes in the mood of Radharani, saturated with her love, a living example of her heart within this world for all of us to follow. And so then, now we can understand, in order to approach Krishna, we have to approach Radharani, but to approach Radharani, we have to approach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and get his mercy. And that's bhakti. That's also a really important lesson here, is that Krishna himself, he can't understand what bhakti is. He has to come to experience it. And so this process is also not something of the head, it's something of the heart. You have to put yourself in a position in which you can actually experience what this means and what this feels like and what it's like. It cannot be understood, right? How can I say, someone says to you, tell me the taste of sugar. What's sugar like? I don't know. How do you explain that to someone? You can't. You may come up with all these scientific things. Well, it's this molecule connected to this molecule, and it does this, and this taste bud fires, which sends this electrical signal to your brain. But what does that mean? Instead, here's a spoon of sugar. Don't do that. It's very bad for you. But taste it. And then you start to understand it. So Krishna himself has to come to taste it, and that's Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now the next question becomes, well, how do I get Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy? Now you can. Sri Nityananda Prabhu, which is his appearance day today. So you see, this is a progressive path. This is a parampara. It comes down. You get one person, and if you read the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, you'll see the same thing. There's always this gradation. You're the best devotee. No. You should go and see this person. No. You should go see this person. And it goes all the way to the top. And then they go, me? No, you should go to this person. And it goes all the way back down again. And this is Nityananda Prabhu. This is the importance of this festival. This is why Vrindavan Das Thakur says this along with Gaura Pranim, these are two most important observations for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Because without this, there is no entrance to the world of Radha and Krishna. This is the beginning of that world and the end of that world. It encompasses that whole world. So the next question becomes, for the thoughtful devotee, okay, I've understood. To get Krishna's mercy, I have to get Radharani's mercy. But to get Radharani's mercy, I have to get Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And then to get Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, I have to get Lord Nityananda's mercy. But how on earth do I get Lord Nityananda's mercy? Guru, yeah, you're all on fire. It's Thursday, that's why you're here. Everyone else is out doing other things, but we've got the top-notch answers coming through. Yeah, through Guru, because Balaram represents Guru Tattva. And Nityananda Prabhu, as an incarnation of Lord Balaram, he also represents Guru Tattva. And so how does one obtain that mercy of Lord Nityananda? One finds the Guru, and one surrenders to that Guru in a mood of service, in a humble mood. And I've often thought about this, which is, for the disciple, there's the Guru, the one Guru, who has thousands and thousands of disciples. How will I ever get the mercy? You ever feel that way? Maybe it's just me. I feel that way sometimes. So many, one Guru has thousands of disciples. But at some point I realized, actually, this is a flaw in my own thinking. Because how do I get the mercy of the Guru? Through the Vaishnavas, actually. Right, so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, his opening few stanzas, he starts with Vande Gurun. I offer my respects to multiple gurus, my initiating guru, my instructing gurus. And this Guru Tattva, the mindset should change to such a way that I am one disciple, rather than, there's one guru with thousands of disciples, I am one disciple with thousands of gurus. And if I'm able to see the hand of my guru or the messages of my guru through everyone else and serve everyone else in that way, that's how I obtain the mercy of the guru. So now you have this chain. You serve the Vaishnav. Vaishnav Seva, this is our topmost thing. This is what we want more than anything else. We often speak about going back to Godhead and, all these things, but that's not really, that's nice. But actually, our highest aspiration should be Vaishnav Seva, whether it's here, there, or the next place. Because through Vaishnav Seva, everything else becomes achieved, right? We just gave a whole line. And we'll go back. Through serving the Vaishnavas, you get the mercy of the Guru. By serving the Guru, you get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. The mercy of Lord Nityananda, you get Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And from there, Srimati Radharani. And where do you go from there? Nowhere. You stay there. That's the best place to be. So that's why this is such an important day. And that's why we should observe it and we should celebrate this. And on these days, we should make a firm commitment or recommitment to this idea that I am simply a humble servant. And the life of Lord Nityananda, this exemplifies this to all of us. So those are just a few preface points, and then we can talk about the Leela. Something I've been thinking about also a lot, I've heard this before, is when one approaches the Shastra, or one approaches the Leela, there are 3 different levels that we could approach these things from. One is, what is the divine play at hand here? What really is happening in this Leela for Krishna and for his devotees? What's actually playing out within these pastimes? The other one is, what are the principles here that we should be learning from these pastimes? And then the third layer is what is in this pastime or within this piece of the Shastra that's specifically meant for me at this time in my life? And if you read or if you approach the pastimes in the Shastra in this way, it becomes a whole different world. You start to see things very differently because now you're looking at it from these different levels. The kind of I think it's called macrocosm of the divine Leela at play, then kind of becoming to the middle ground of just the general principles that are there, and then the kind of the microcosm of your own life. What is in this within me, for me? And all of you, I can ascertain just by looking around, you've probably been to hundreds of, maybe not hundreds, but you've been to a lot of classes about Lord Nityananda, right? You've probably observed this festival a few times. You've heard all the pastimes, I'm sure. And so what I'll try and do, if it's okay with all of you, is I'm only going to take a few points here and there, because otherwise we'll be here all week and we could talk about the glories of Nityananda Prabhu and not become exhausted. And try and find some of the lessons that I've picked up through some of these things. Does that sound like a good plan? So Lord Nityananda, he's Balaram. And he was born where? Where was Lord Nityananda born? Huh? Where, sorry, my accent. February 13th. Yeah. In Ekachakra. And his parents were? You have to speak a little louder. And? Padmavati. Hadai Pandit and Padmavati. Really just sweet, gentle brahmanas. They were okay. I won't ask so many quick questions, because I'll let the microphones get to you on time. Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he was born in Ekachakra, a small village in Bengal. His father was Hadai Pandit, his mother was Padmavati. Very sweet, gentle brahmanas, very dedicated to devotional service and to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You kind of have to be exalted, right, for Lord Balaram to take birth as your son, right? You would imagine. And Nityananda Prabhu, he was their only son, young Nitai, and he was their life and soul, right? We just sung in this bhajan, Krishna Mata Krishna Pita Krishna Dhana Pran. Krishna is your mother, he's your father, he's your dhan. What does that mean? He's your wealth, and your pran, your very life force, is Krishna. And for Hadai Pandit and Padmavati, that was expressed through Lord Nityananda. He was their very life and soul. And not just for them, but everyone in the village of Ekachakra. He was like the apple of their eye, as people say. And everyone just loved him so much. He just provided so much joy. Actually, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, you'll read that when Lord Nityananda took birth, the village of Ekachakra became so opulent. Like they started to grow the best crops they'd ever grown. Everyone became happy. The sun just felt a little bit brighter. The birds were singing just a little bit sweeter. Everyone was just so enamored with Lord Nityananda. And as he would play with his friends, all they would do is play Krishna Lila. He wouldn't want to play anything else. They would just have these plays of different pastimes of Krishna, and he would always play Balaram. And so in this way, Lord Nityananda began to grow up. The center of attention, everyone loved him so much. And what was he doing? He was making everyone think about Krishna, because that's all he would play. That's how we would play, that's how we would talk. How many of you have children, may I ask, in this room? A few of us. Sometimes it's not so joyful. I mean, it is, but we're so conditioned, we don't see it that way. But with Lord Nityananda, it was just so joyful. And Hadai Pandit, he had this tendency, which is a very good tendency of devotees, is that any time a sadhu would come, he would host them, he would invite them over, he would offer them a nice place to sit. Again, our Shastra tell us, how do you interact with devotees? And they explain this. This is the etiquette of the Vaishnava. You invite the sadhu, you feed them, you make them feel very comfortable in your home. Actually, there's a whole art to this when someone comes to your home, where you anoint them with chandan, you give them a garland, you make them sit down, you wash their feet. These cultural aspects are really important, because culture is what carries through the philosophy further. And culture can change with time, but it's an important thing. So Hadai Pandit would do this. He was such a cultured gentleman. And one day he invited over a sadhu, a sannyasi, who was traveling through. Now some acharyas, they say that this was Madhavendra Puri. And not so long ago, I think I spoke here about Madhavendra Puri. And one of the things I said was that Madhavendra Puri, he's so foundational for us in our lineage, actually, that sometimes it's overlooked, like the appearance or disappearance of Madhavendra Puri. We don't really think about it. But apart from that 1 or 2 chapters I think 3 chapters in Chaitanya Charitamrita that talk about Madhavendra Puri, he was practically, either directly or indirectly, the guru of the whole Pancha Tattva. And he was the first one to really bring out this Madhurya Ras within the Gaudiya lineage. And he kind of prepared the field for Mahaprabhu's entrance, so that Mahaprabhu could really exemplify this. So some people say this sannyasi that came to Hadai Pandit's house was Madhavendra Puri. So Hadai Pandit, anyway, we'll just say this sadhu for now, because it's not really confirmed. Hadai Pandit served him so nicely. Mother Padmavati, she cooked a great feast. They worshipped him. They inquired from him. Treated him with so much gratitude that he would come and give them his association. And as is the custom, as the sadhu was getting ready to leave, Hadai Pandit said, please, how can I serve you? Ask me of anything. What's mine is yours. You ask me for anything. And the sannyasi kind of chuckled and he said, you don't have anything I want. It's okay, thank you. But you don't have anything I want, except for one thing. I'm a sannyasi, I'm old, I'm traveling all these different places of pilgrimage, and I need an assistant. And I've been observing your son, Nitai, and I cannot think of anyone who's better to be my assistant than him. So if you really want to give me something, then give me your son, Nityananda, and let him come with me and be my assistant. Now, today, when we hear that, it's like most parents outside of this place are thinking, man, yeah, take my kids. I need a break. It's too much. The iPad doesn't cut it, because the batteries run out and they have to recharge it. But for Hadai Pandit, Padmavati, he was their life and soul. He was the whole life and soul of Eka Chakra. If I asked you, give me your phone, you'd probably hold on, my phone? I can't give you my phone, I need this. He said, give me your son. Right, now let's think about some of the somewhat symbolic stuff here. He was their only son. Right, they had no other children. He was their only son. If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll see there's so many pastimes that involve fathers and sons. Can you think of any? Chitraketu, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj. In one sense, the whole Mahabharata, right? The Pandavas, the whole thing, sons and their father. There's a real interesting relationship between children and their parents, but particularly you'll see there's a symbolic thing about fathers and sons. And what is that? That is that the legacy of the father continues with the son, right? Maybe not so much these days, but in the old days, you would work hard, you would build this empire, and then I'm going to leave this world one day, and it all becomes bequeathed, I think is the word, to the son. The son takes on the inheritance. He takes on the family business. There's a plug for a book there called Our Family Business, by the way. But that's what the son does. He continues the work of the father. He continues the legacy of the father. Right? Now he's being asked, Hadai Pandit, give me that son. That your legacy, that you've been thinking about. Actually, you have to give me that legacy. There's a lesson there for us. That the real legacy doesn't come with bank accounts and with how many bedrooms are in your house. But the real legacy that we'll leave behind is how much did we align ourselves with the spirit of service for a sadhu. And who better sadhu than Srila Prabhupada for us to follow? That's the real legacy. Their very life and soul, Nityananda Prabhu, they were asked to give away. Now some people, I've heard this said, that Hadai Pandit then started to argue with the sadhu and said, well, not argue, but he said, don't take my son, he's so young, what can he do, take me. But I've heard other places that he had those thoughts in his head, but he never expressed them to the sadhu. Because that was the culture. I have faith in you, you asked me to do it, please, you take my son, no problem. Nityananda Prabhu at the time, he was 12 years old. Can you remember when you were 12 years old, what you were doing? He was 12 and now he's having to leave his parents, leave the village, leave the life he knows to go and travel. So there's another interesting thing here symbolically that I've been thinking about. Krishna, he's eternally how old? 16 something? 16? Everyone going with 16? I think it's 15 and a half. But then we have to say, is it the lunar calendar or is it the Gregorian calendar? I don't know. But so we'll say 15 and a half, 16. So he remains eternally at that age. Why that age, though? You ever think about that? Why that age? Huh? His wish. Oh, that's such a great answer. Yeah, his wish. But I'm going to go down the track of my mind where I look at what's symbolic here. Carefree. 15 and a half, because at that age, all you are is pure potential. You're nothing, you are pure potential. You're kind of, in one sense, untouched by the world. Nowadays, that's changed because everyone has like Snapchat and Facebook and so many other things, right? Am I correct? But actually at that age, that tender age, you are untouched by the world and you are just pure potential. So again, there's another lesson here for us. That actually the way to fulfill your true potential in life is not to okay, what job am I going to get? What business am I going to build? Who am I going to move and shake with and rub elbows with? But is in dedicating that potential in the spirit of service to the sadhu. If you do that, that's the true fulfillment of one's potential. Because all the other things, while they're important and we have to do them, I mean, I'm not going to say quit your job or anything like that. I have a family, I have to work a job, I have to have a roof over our head and some sort of security for the future. But I also have to have the understanding that none of that's going to last. That's all temporary. Right? We need the microphone.
It's in the words of the song we just sang this morning. Do your work, but put Krishna in the center.
Put Krishna in the center, yeah, absolutely. So that's what's being asked here of Hadai Pandit. You sacrifice your legacy. You sacrifice the pure potential in front of you in the spirit of service to the sadhu. And there's no promise here that you'll ever see your son again. He's gone now. He's mine. That's a very high bar. I'm not saying that we should all now, give me your children. It's probably a dangerous thing because religious movements and children have some history there. But what I'm going to say is, there is something there that we may not be there today, but we should at least know the ideal, right? That ultimately what's demanded of me, ultimately in the long run, is intelligently really giving my whole life in this spirit. I mean, it's an important thing. And so we can start today, because we all have some capacity. And there's a measure. You can see, am I comfortable? Do I feel comfortable in my devotional life? That's nice, but you should feel a little discomfort. You should feel a little stretch. Because that's the only way you're going to grow. Right? Have you heard of growing pains? When children grow up, their bones are stretching, their muscles are growing, and they get these pains because they're growing. Anyone here ever work out? I can't really speak because I don't. But when you work out, there's a certain amount of pain that you start to feel. That pain's good, that discomfort. If it's too much, that means you'll never work out again. But if it's too little, you're not growing, you're not on your growth edge. There has to be a little bit of discomfort. For Hadai Pandit, this was a major discomfort. My son, my life, now I have to give him away. So anyway, he gave Lord Nityananda to the sadhu, and Lord Nityananda now he begins to travel. I didn't follow any of my notes on the first page. Now I have to go to the second page because I've skipped a whole bunch. But this was interesting also. I was thinking, Lord Nityananda now, he traveled all over India. You can read this also in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. He goes to South India, he goes to Vrindavan, he goes to all over India. And I was thinking about this, what's symbolic here? Well, Lord Balaram, he carries the plow. You all have to say it in unison because then we don't have to use the microphones. He carries the plow. What does a plow do? What's the purpose of a plow? Microphone? Anyone who's...
Tills the earth.
It tills the earth. And why is it important to till the earth?
To plant seeds.
To plant seeds, because if you don't till the earth before you plant the seed, it's unlikely that they're really going to grow in the optimal way, right? Anyone who's ever gardened, it's like you have to prepare the soil first. It's interesting because you see Lord Nityananda, he's traveling all over India. Subsequently, some years later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, and what does he do? He travels all over India. And if you trace it out, many of the same places, meets many of the same people. So this is also the Guru Tattva. Guru enters into the heart with the plow and tills the field of the heart. And what does that mean, to till? It means you remove all the stones, you kind of make the ground supple and soft so the seed can take deep root. And we can understand that's the stage of anatta nivritti. I don't know about all of you, but there's a few stones in my heart. And the seed of bhakti, it may be there, maybe not there, I don't know. But if it is there, it's not really taking root because it keeps hitting these stones and the soil is very compact. So there's the tilling of the heart that takes place. And this is, we can see, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, when traveling all over India, this is what he's doing. He's preparing the field because he knows the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swayam Bhagavan Sri Krishna, is going to come in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and start his Sankirtan mission. And in order for that to really take root, someone has to go out and prepare the field. So he's traveling. So this divine arrangement by the sadhu, possibly Madhavendra Puri, to do this with Lord Nityananda. The interesting thing also is Lord Nityananda Prabhu, then he became, I believe, he's the disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So he did meet Madhavendra Puri at some point. Now another thing I was thinking about when I was thinking about Lord Nityananda is that he couldn't stay in one place. He had to keep moving. This place, that place, sannyasi can only stay 3 days in one place. And I was thinking, okay, what's symbolic in this for me? And I began to think about my life a little bit. And I started to realize that without Krishna, you're kind of unsettled. There's always this thing and that thing. I have to move here, I have to do this, I have to do this, and I have to do that. And you see that. Lord Nityananda's purpose was different, but we can take a lesson from this, is that he couldn't stay in one place until he went to Vrindavan. And when he went to Vrindavan, he was going around like a madman, saying, where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? Krishna, where are you? Where's Krishna? He couldn't find Krishna. It's explained that one Brajbasi, again, some acharyas say that Krishna himself came in the form of this Brajbasi and said, Krishna has taken birth in Navadvip. And he's starting to begin his pastimes. So Lord Nityananda, immediately he leaves, and he leaves for Navadvip. There was no first-class flights in those days. He had to traverse the path all the way to Navadvip from Vrindavan, which is fairly far away. But when he meets Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then everything now has purpose. Everything now has meaning. Now the mission, I know the mission of my life. Of course, I'm just saying this because for us, symbolically, that's what it means. We're just wandering here and there, so many lifetimes. This place, this body, that next body. this kind of circumstance, that kind of circumstance. And I know for me as well, I'm always thinking, well, if I just had this, then my life would be perfect. Like if my rent was just this much cheaper, then everything would be fine. If there was just this many less cars in the Bay Area, then I'd be happy. But there's a way of just being always unsettled and dissatisfied in the mind, which means we wander from place to place to place. And we can see symbolically from Lord Nityananda's travels, it wasn't until he met Mahaprabhu, and there was that union, that he then finally felt, now I have the meaning that I've been looking for, and that's the same thing for us. Unless you have meaning, everything else, how do you know if you're making progress? You don't even know what you're progressing towards, and so you have to find that meaning. And we're, again, very fortunate, because we're in a place like this, we have association like this, we can really easily and quickly understand the meaning that we're looking for, and hopefully set up our lives in such a way that we start to progress towards that. Now, there's a whole pastime about how Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda meet. I can't remember what time I'm supposed to finish the class, so I don't know if I have time. But I'll continue. I'll move on to the next thing. 7 o'clock? Am I supposed to finish 7? 7. Thank you. See, my mind is so unsettled because I worked all day. I can't even remember what time I'm supposed to finish. But anyway, when Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meet for the first time, it's not the first time. It's Krishna and Balaram. They're never separated from one another. And as it's explained, Balaram is the expansion of Krishna. They're one and the same. I forget which Acharya says the only difference is Krishna is black and Balaram is white. That's the only difference between the two. But something interesting also is Mother Sachi Devi. Sachi Devi, when she sees Lord Nityananda, her heart completely melts. And there was this gap that she was feeling in her heart, because she had another son. Remember her other son? What was his name? Vishwarup. What's Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name? Vishwambar. Who gave him the name Nimai? Sita Thakurani, the wife of Advaita Acharya, because he was born under the neem tree. She gave him the nickname Nimai. What was the elder son called? Vishwarup. So Vishwarup, when he was younger, he used to hang out with Advaita Acharya. It's very dangerous. Advaita Acharya was a real sadhu, he was a pure devotee. And when you hang out with people like that, you begin to also get strange ideas in your head. So Vishwarup got the strange idea one day that I'm going to take sannyas, I'm going to dedicate my life to Krishna. And he left. He didn't tell anyone. Sachi Devi, she never saw him again. He explained that she always was very hesitant for little Nimai Vishwambar to spend any time with Advaita Acharya, because she remembered my other son. You know, by his influence, he took sannyas and he left, and I never saw him again. But when she saw Lord Nityananda, that gap was filled. Not only was it filled, it began to overflow. Also very interesting, because Hadai Pandit and Padmavati, after Lord Nityananda left, they couldn't live anymore. They're so heartbroken that they left the world. And here's Sachi Devi, who also lost a son. Now she's gaining her son again, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna and Lord Nityananda is Balaram. Interestingly, with Hadai Pandit and Padmavati, you can make a similar comparison to the Rasa Leela. I'm really trying not to get esoteric today, but it's happening somehow. Which is, during the Rasa Leela, Krishna's out there playing his flute, that full moon night. Some of the gopis are able to escape, and they're able to join him. But there were some who couldn't go and join him. They were held back by their brothers, their fathers, their husbands. Being held back, that separation, their heart was so broken. It's explained that some of them left their bodies. But our acharyas also explained that there's something more symbolic here, which is in the fire of separation and desire, their anatas were burnt up. So their body no longer had any purpose, and they went and joined the eternal Leela of Krishna. And this is similar here with Hadai Pandit and Padmavati, at least in my brain, which is because they gave their life in the spirit of service to this sadhu, all of their anatas were completely burnt up. We can say symbolically that their material bodies dissipated and they left the world, but they entered into that eternal world of Sri Krishna Leela. So they lose a child, not just lose a child, but they offer that child in service. And they leave the world and enter that Leela. Sachi Devi loses a child, not because she gave him in the spirit of service, symbolically, but because he decided to leave. And she was heartbroken for so long, and now Lord Nityananda has come, and that piece of her that was broken is now fixed and firmly cemented. It's interesting, no? You can draw these parallels. You can see that everything's connected. There's no one-offs here. There's no one-off pieces. So as Lord Nityananda now is residing in Navadvip, everyone's seeing him and everyone's thinking, who is this madman? Avadut. What does Avadut mean? You have to use the microphone. Otherwise I'll get told off, and I don't like getting told off.
Avadut is the one who goes off the original path, or like basic path.
Who goes off the original path or basic path?
Yeah.
Speak more.
Who goes who does his own, has his own vision. And
he's on his own program, man.
Yeah.
He's gone rogue.
He's gone rogue. Yeah, Avadut means one who has extracted himself or themselves from the Varnashram system. They don't follow the norms of society. And in those days that meant the Varnashram system. Which is very interesting because Lord Nityananda, he was born in a Brahmana family. But he was so mad in love with Krishna that no one could ascertain. This again, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, they speak about this. They say, some people are thinking, is he a Brahmana? Is he a Kshatriya? Is he this? Is he that? What's his ashram? No one knows. No one can figure out who he is or what he is. Very interesting there also, because for us, when we're in a conditioned state, it's really important to have good guidance in your life to understand, how do I engage my nature so that I am properly situated? Because when I'm properly situated, my mind can be peaceful, hopefully. And if my mind is peaceful, I can think about Krishna. I can serve with some peace of mind. Right? Does that make sense? I can feel grounded. I can feel very settled. And that's what Varnashram is there for. The whole purpose of Varnashram, Varna meaning one's propensities, and ashram meaning one's life stage. According to those two things, where they meet with one another, something will be demanded of you, or something will be called from you in your engagement with Krishna. And it changes. Someone has a Brahminical nature. Now, when they're a brahmachari, their service will be of a certain type. If they get married, their service will be of a certain type. When their children are grown up and they've retired, their service will be of a certain type. And if, lo and behold, someone takes sannyas, their service, again, augments and changes. And that the way that nature is engaged, according to your life stage, your ashram, your engagement will be of a certain type. But Varnashram only holds true in the conditioned stage of life. Yeah, it's there beyond that. But the purpose of it is met when one attains Krishna Prem. Because then one transcends any of the boundaries of Varna and Ashram. Because in Krishna Prem, those things now take a back seat. They retire. And what comes forward is just the pull to serve Krishna. So whatever's being called to me, yes, no, you want me to clean the pots? I'll clean the pots. You want me to go out and sweep the driveway? No problem. You want me to give the class? I'll do that. When you have so much prem for Krishna, you become like a madman. You become an avadut, no longer restricted by the boundaries of so many other things. But when you're not on that stage, when Krishna Prem hasn't fully blossomed within our heart, it's very important to find your nature, because that will inspire you to go forward. I think it's really important for devotees. I've seen this. I've seen the devotees who thrive the most are the ones who have been able to understand their nature, have the right guidance in their life to then engage that nature accordingly. And when they do that, they're happy, they're well situated. And I know when I've struggled, I struggle all the time, particularly in my work, because I perform a job that doesn't really engage my nature. So there's a frustration that comes with that. There's a dissatisfaction, right? It's like having a racehorse giving pony rides. That's not what the racehorse is made for. A racehorse is supposed to run. It's supposed to go out there and gallop, not to have kids on its back and just, right? So to some extent, service has to be of two types. Remember we were talking about this? One type is that which provides purification. Because we have to be purified. We have a lot of misgivings within us. Hare Krishna. And then the other is service that provides inspiration. Now, doing the needful is good because it will provide us with some level of purification. But doing what my nature calls of me to do is good because it will provide me inspiration. Now, if it's all purification, you'll just leave because you'll just get burnt out. And if it's all inspiration, you're going to become a little puffed up. You're going to start to think, I'm the man. So both have to happen at the same time. And when you do that progressively, and the anatas are removed from your heart, then you come to the stage of nishta. You become firmly fixed. And when one's firmly fixed, then varnashram may still be there, but it retires to the background. It's no longer in the forefront. And so again, in Chaitanya Bhagavat, this is what it said, is that no one could understand who Lord Nityananda Prabhu was. They couldn't understand his ashram, they couldn't understand his varna, because he was so mad with Krishna Prem. It's an important thing to understand. Again, an ideal, we should not that you all become mad today, but if you do, that's great, fantastic. But this is what we're aiming for. We're aiming for that, like, we just become so in love with devotional service and the practice of devotional service that whatever you need, I am here, Krishna, you tell me. Not that it has to be of a certain type, but in the beginning stages, that's important. It has to be that balance. Otherwise, I don't know. My personal observation is that it becomes difficult for devotees to then progress. So I keep going off notes, so I don't know where I am now. Oh. So Mahaprabhu, you know, again off topic here, but I find this interesting too, symbolically. That during the day Mahaprabhu would go out, right, with all the devotees, and they would spread the holy name. But in the evenings, what would he do? Yeah, he would go to Srivas Pandit's house. He would associate with the devotees. It's explained, I think this isn't either in the Chaitanya Charitamrita or in the Chaitanya Bhagavat again, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would personally go and lock the door so no one else could enter. So he had the life, the external life, we all have that, and then the internal life. I've been thinking about this a lot. That actually our bhakti is expressed in external action. But that expression in external action must be driven by an internal mood. Now, if we don't develop the internal mood, then it becomes kind of rote. It becomes, I don't know what the word is, mechanically done. So both things have to happen. The internal mood has to develop, as well as the external expression of that mood. Again, we see this dualistic type thing. Service that provides inspiration, service that provides purification, external expression, internal cultivation. These are important things. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's knowing I'm going to be taking sannyas. Again, sometimes some places I read he gives this order before he takes sannyas, and other places I read he gives it after he takes sannyas. We can look at it from both angles. But anyway, he gives this order. He calls Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, and he gives them an order. He says, I've come here to give the highest attainment that could even be imagined in the universe. To not just bhakti, but bhakti in the mood of Srimati Radharani. The highest expression of bhakti. The thing that's going to give you the most satisfaction in your life. And I want this to be given to everyone. But I can't do that. Now, it makes sense if he said this after sannyas, but even before sannyas, it makes sense. He was a Brahmana. He was very respected in the community. And there were certain people who weren't so respected in the community. And Lord Chaitanya, he recognized, this is also very interesting, he recognized, I can't do this because people will criticize me. But you, Nityananda Prabhu, and you, Haridas, I want you to go. Go to the most fallen, the lowest of the low. You go to the brothels, you go to the bars, the drunkards, the debauchees, all of them, and you beg them. You beg them, go door to door and beg them to take the Lord of Krishna, take the name of Krishna. You beg them to do that. It's so interesting because Lord Chaitanya himself, he is recognizing that people are going to criticize, So he can't do it because I'm going to take sannyas, or I've already taken sannyas, and my mission is slightly different here. It's the same mission, but the expression of it is slightly different. But you too, you must go and do this. Now, Haridas Thakur, we know, he was born in a Muslim family, and Lord Nityananda is the other dude, outside of the Varnashram system. Now, you go out and give it to these people and beg them. Like, we all beg. Are we all beggars? Yes or no? I'll give you some examples. Have you ever begged your boss? Please, I need a pay rise. Please, please, please. You ever begged for a day off? Please, I just need a week off. Just Janmashtami, I have to do so many services. We're all begging someone. In today's day and age, the main thing people beg for is attention. Did you like my post? How many people are watching this online? We're all begging for something somewhere. But we're always going to people above us and begging them, generally speaking, right? Someone has something that I don't have and I'm begging them to give it to me. Here, Lord Chaitanya is saying to Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, you go to people who don't have anything, and the only things they have are the things you don't want, and in front of them you become beggars. Not begging to take, you become beggars to give. It's quite an interesting thing, no? This is Lord Nityananda. Who is he? He's Balaram. Haridas Thakur. And who's Haridas Thakur? Brahma.
Lord Brahma.
Lord Brahma. Everyone worships them. And he's saying, become beggars. You should become beggars. He does this also, Lord Chaitanya, with Rupa Goswami, right? Rupa and Sanatan, they were, before they became Rupa and Sanatan, what were they doing? And what were they doing? You have to use the microphones. They were ministers, please. Okay.
Oh, they were working for a Muslim governor, and they were Sakir Malik and Debar Khas.
Very qualified people. Like they said, they were like mini kings. I don't know what that means to be a mini king. You're either a king or you're not. A mini king, but they were like mini kings. And what does Mahaprabhu? He makes them beggars. Become beggars in the spirit of serving Krishna in the holy name. Because that's humility. That's how you attract Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Right? 3rd verse of Shikshastakam, he says that. Be more humble than a blade of grass. Because in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who are you? You could be Donald Trump. You could dodge impeachment. You could have millions of dollars and have all these contracts all around the world to build hotels. You can just come here. Everyone has to lay down in front of the Lord. Because if you don't, then the cruel hound of death will make you lay down anyway. So here's this lesson. These two very highly exalted personalities who are extremely qualified. The Nam Acharya. And Lord Nityananda, who after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, Lord Nityananda is like the main pillar of the preaching mission. These two most qualified people become beggars. And not just beggars to the upper echelons of society, but become beggars to the lowest of the low. And you go out and you beg them. And Lord Nityananda, he took this as like, this is it. This is the order of my life. I have to do this. So he would go and speak to everyone. Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gaurangera Namre. He'd go to everyone and do this. It's quite astonishing, actually. Alex, everyone know Alex? Alex goes out on books distribution. It's like, you have to beg people, right, sometimes. How's it feel? Yeah, not so great sometimes, right? Here's Lord Nityananda who's having to beg people. We should all become beggars of mercy, because we're not at the level where we can beg to give our mercy. We haven't got it quite yet. At least I haven't. Oh yeah, this was the other thing I was thinking. There's no argument from Lord Nityananda. He didn't say, well, what will my Facebook followers say? Like, we can't film this for YouTube. Like me coming out of a bar, what are people going to say? Nothing for him. No desire for position or worship or adoration from anyone. His life's mission was to bring pleasure to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what brings pleasure to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Please just chant the name of Krishna. So in this spirit, you all know the story of Jagai and Madai. Lord Nityananda, he sees them one day, Jagai and Madai. Like, actually, from what I've read also, they were very, very exalted brahmanas. But they wanted to become very powerful, and they got into all sorts of tantra and so many other things, and intoxication, eating meat, and so many horrible activities, they thought the more we can get into this rajasic mood, the more powerful we will become. Some say because they wanted to defeat the invaders who were coming from Persia and destroying the culture of India at that time. I've only read that in one place, so I won't endorse that one myself. But nonetheless, they were so feared by everyone in Navadvip. They were just known to be like the lowest of the low. And Lord Nityananda thought, well, these are the perfect candidates. I got an order from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go out to the people who are the most disqualified. And these people, I can't think of anyone better, so he'd go to them, please chant the name of Krishna. Bhaja Gauranga, Bhaja Krishna, Bolo Krishna. And they would yell at him, they'd spit at him, get out of here, you're a fool, who are you? You're just a crazy man, get out. And he would run away. Haridas Thakur refused to go with him. He came and he complained to Lord Chaitanya, he's so mad. He's going like, we're going to get killed because of this guy. I'm an old man. I'm not an avadut. I'm old Haridas Thakur. Lord Nityananda, they explained he would like pick up elephants and throw them around and things like that. He can go and do these things. He can get into a fight with these people, not me. It's explained that Lord Chaitanya, internally, he was so happy. Yes, this is it. This is the channel of mercy that's needed within the world because everyone in the world right now is disqualified. And Lord Nityananda, he's starting that. So anyway, he would go back every now and then to preach to them. And they would chase him out. I won't get too much into details because you all know it. But he went to them one day and they were really in an intoxicated state. Really just, in my days, we'd say they were really out of it. They were like out of their minds. And Lord Nityananda, he was asking them, please just chant the name of Krishna. Everything you want in life, you'll get. You'll be fulfilled more than you can ever imagine. All these other things will become so meaningless to you. Just chant the name of Krishna. Madai, in his intoxicated state, we hear this, that he takes a clay pot, this is what they were drinking from, and he throws this with all of his might at Lord Nityananda's head. And Lord Nityananda begins to bleed. But I've also read that, they drink out of clay pots, but they would have these big clay pots where they would store their drink of choice. And on top of that would be these big clay lids. And I've read that he took the lid and he threw it like a discus. It was huge. And it smashed against Lord Nityananda Prabhu's head. And Lord Nityananda, he falls to the ground, he's bleeding. But internally, he's thinking, now they're really going to get the mercy. Now this is it. Now they've proven that they are the most disqualified. Now they've shown they're the lowest of the low. Because not only did they attack a Vaishnav, but that Vaishnav was Lord Balaram himself. Haridas Thakur, seeing this, he runs away. I don't blame him, I'd do the same probably. He runs away and he runs straight to Lord Chaitanya and he tells him what happened. He said, Lord Nityananda's saying that he's bleeding. He's been attacked. They're going to kill him. Meanwhile, Lord Nityananda's there saying, don't worry, this is all fine. Please just chant the name of Krishna. Please just chant the name of Krishna. Also symbolically quite interesting. Inevitably, all of us, well, no, again, I'll qualify this. I can't speak for all of you. Along our journey in Krishna consciousness, we will also, remember, Guru Tattva, representation, will also cause pain sometimes, But the mercy of the Guru is still there, and one should never feel, oh no, what happened? We should feel that, but not to the extent that it paralyzes us. Anyway, Lord Nityananda is there saying, please, anyway, don't worry, you just chant the name of Krishna, just chant the name of Krishna, everything's fine. Meanwhile, Lord Chaitanya becomes so ferociously angry. Now, he's Krishna in disguise. He's not showing anyone he's Krishna, but he forgets that. And he manifests his Sudarshan Chakra and he goes, I'm going to kill these two today. How dare they offend my devotee and attack him? And when he gets to the scene, he sees Lord Nityananda bleeding from his head. He becomes even more enraged. I think I spoke about this here before as well. That is the death of one's devotion, is to have this offensive attitude towards devotees. Now, you'll have differences of opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how you progress in life. That's how you innovate, differences of opinion. But never to the extent where hatred develops within the heart for the devotees or for the practice of devotional service. Because the Sudarshan Chakra here is coming to kill Jagai and Madai. And that will come into our life if we adopt an offensive mentality like that, because it will kill the bhakti lata that is growing within our hearts. So we have to be very careful of that. But again, Sri Guru is very merciful. So when Lord Chaitanya comes in, he's about to finish these two exalted human beings who are engaged in things that are not so nice. Lord Nityananda begins to plead with him. No, this was an accident. He didn't mean to do it. He didn't mean to do it. Please, put your Sudarshan Chakra away. This Leela is Odarya Leela. This is when you're coming to be most magnanimous. You're not here to kill people. That was Krishna Leela. You did that. You killed the demons before. Now you kill the demons through the holy name. And you don't kill them, you convert their hearts and you make them into devotees. Lord Chaitanya is just not listening. This goes on. Please, don't, just leave them alone. And then Lord Nityananda says, actually, when Madai became so angry and he was about to hit me in the head, Jagai tried to stop him. And Lord Chaitanya's mood completely changed. He tried to stop him. Just that little, it wasn't like he did stop him. It wasn't like he became a devotee. He just tried to stop. He was still the same Jagai. He just tried to stop him. He knew, I'm crossing a line here that shouldn't be crossed. And that was enough for Mahaprabhu to now become calm. It took the petitioning of Lord Nityananda, forgive them, to pacify Lord Chaitanya. And that is another principle of Guru Tattva. The Guru on your behalf is petitioning the Lord, accept this disciple. Accept this disciple. With all their shortcomings, with all their flaws, you accept them. But it takes something from us too, just like Jagai had to take a step. Just a minute step of trying to hold Madai back. We have to also take that step, because the petitioning isn't enough. We are an active participant in the process ourselves. Anyways, explained from there, Jagai and Madai became exalted devotees. I believe someone told me, I've never been there or heard this anywhere else, that there's a temple somewhere dedicated to Jagai and Madai, because they became such exalted devotees. Another lesson, another symbolic thing here, that they finally surrendered to Lord Nityananda. Their disqualification, which was their qualification to obtain the mercy of Lord Nityananda, they accepted it, they surrendered. And by doing that, they became extremely exalted devotees. For eternity, they're in the pages of Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. We're sitting here 500-600 years long and we're still talking about them, talking about the lessons that they taught us. And mercy is like that. Lord Nityananda was trying to give the mercy the whole time and they just couldn't accept it. They kept shooing him away. I think about like a cup. If you're dying of thirst and there's a tap and there's just pure water coming out of that tap, you still have to have the cup the right way up. If you have it upside down, the water's just going to run over it. You're never going to capture the water. We're like that too. We have to get the right way up within our hearts to capture the mercy. Lord Nityananda was giving it freely. They couldn't accept it. Their hearts were not properly situated. And what is that proper situation? Yes, I'm your servant. It doesn't have to be a grand, here's my house, here's the deed, here's the key card, the car keys. But whatever we have, I'm trying my best to serve you. I'm trying my best to put myself in that current of mercy. And that's Lord Nityananda's legacy. Sorry, please.
I just wanted to mention that actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so angry, and when Jagai was repentant and he knew that Jagai tried to protect Lord Nityananda, he forgave Jagai, but he said he couldn't forgive Madai until Madai asked forgiveness from Lord Nityananda.
Yeah.
So it was Lord Nityananda that had to forgive Madai.
Lord Nityananda's mercy is the only hope for all of us. And actually, this is also a theme. You see this with, who was it? Who did Ambarish Maharaj? Who was the sadhu? Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni runs all over the whole universe. He goes to Vishnu and says, please forgive me. And Vishnu says, I can't forgive you. You have to go back to Ambarish Maharaj. You have to get his forgiveness. So better you don't have to ask for forgiveness, put yourself in a position to always serve and just get the mercy that way. But if you have to, do it with a real humble attitude, because the Lord is watching always. He's in our hearts. So, there was a knock on the door. Is that Lord Nityananda? He's come to correct me. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas. He goes to Jagannath Puri. The devotees, some of them go with him. And those who don't, they visit every year, up to a point. And then Mahaprabhu wants to go deeply into the internals again. And this one time Nityananda comes and Mahaprabhu says, thank you for coming, but next time don't come. This is it. I'm sending Rupa and Sanatan this way, I'm sending this person this way, and I'm sending you to Bengal. And you go and you liberate the whole of Bengal. You go out there and you preach to everyone, and you make everyone, you beg them, become the beggar, remain the beggar, and beg them to chant Krishna's name. And in this way, we will never be separated. Like, you don't have to come here to be with me. You go there and fulfill my order, and I will always be with you. So Lord Nityananda goes and he does this. This is what now becomes the rest of his life, is to preach the message of Mahaprabhu. He doesn't go back. Separation. The beginning of his life, separation from Lord Chaitanya. Just couldn't, moving from this place to this place to this place. This time, this amazing time with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you read about it, your hairs should stand on end, and if they don't, just keep reading, because one day they will. All this intimate association. He understood the mind of Lord Chaitanya like no one else. Their hearts were connected. And now Mahaprabhu is saying, don't come anymore. You don't need to see me, I'm always with you. You go out and you preach. This separation. Separation is a really challenging thing. It can be tough. I have some experience because I served my spiritual master for some time and traveled with him and did so many things. And I remember very vividly at one point, he'd asked me to move to New York. And we were in Germany. And I think we ended up in London, and he had a flight to India and I had a flight to America. And there was this hallway, and he went down one side, I went down the other side. And I was like, took me weeks of like, oh my God, what just happened? But because I went on his order, I realized actually his presence was with me more than ever. And actually he said that to me. I said, I don't want to go, I just want to be with you, I'm happy doing this. And he said, if you stay with me, you can serve my body, but if you go, you'll serve my heart. And that's what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying here to Lord Nityananda. Don't come. You can connect with me on a much deeper level by fulfilling this order, and I'll always be with you. Because ultimately, whoever inspires us, whatever inspires us in our spiritual lives, at some point, what's asked of us is that we have to grow up a little bit. We have to become mature. We have to learn to walk on our own. But within our hearts, we have to keep in the core of our hearts that connection. That's the real connection. Right? Prabhupada said this. I heard this. Srila Prabhupada, one devotee said, I want to be close to you. And Prabhupada said, well, a mosquito is close to me. What's the use of being close to me? Another devotee said, Prabhupada, I just want to be at your feet. And Srila Prabhupada said, but I'm always moving. How will you stay at my feet? But the way that you see this with so many luminaries who were there with Srila Prabhupada, who were Prabhupada's disciples, some of whom hardly spent any time with Srila Prabhupada, but because Prabhupada lives within their heart, they're always with him. Prabhupada said that about his guru. Never do I feel that I'm not with my spiritual master. That connection's there. And so Lord Nityananda, also this is symbolic of that connection. You don't have to come here. We're always connected as long as you're aligning yourself with fulfilling this instruction of mine and pushing forward the mission. And this is the legacy of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda, he opened the marketplace, we've heard, of free-flowing mercy. It is freely flowing. And how fortunate are we to have taken birth at this time? Because I can, again, speak for myself. There's no way I would ever be able to even come close to this temple if it wasn't for the mercy of Lord Nityananda and the followers of Lord Nityananda. What qualification do I have? Have you seen my beard? Devotees get freaked out. You got a beard, that's stool. Don't you know that? It's on your face. What qualification do I have? Nothing. My disqualification is my qualification. This is the legacy of Mahaprabhu. This is not Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda. This is why we're all here, actually. If it wasn't for Lord Nityananda's mercy, what would we know about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What would we know about the holy name? What little we know is because of Lord Nityananda. Vrindavan Das Thakur, some people say, was the last disciple of Lord Nityananda. He wrote, what book did he write? Chaitanya Bhagavat, previously called Chaitanya Mangal, and the name changed to Chaitanya Bhagavat. Practically most of the things that we know about Mahaprabhu, we know because of that book. The other book that we know about Mahaprabhu is? And who wrote that book? Krishnadas Kaviraj. And who inspired him from his heart to do that? Sri Nityananda Prabhu came to him in a dream. You leave this place and go to Vrindavan. This is the legacy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. We're all here because of that mercy. And we have to carry on that legacy. That's how you really get the mercy further, is you adopt that same mood. Don't worry who's qualified, not qualified. Go out there. Petition everyone. Become beggars. Please, I'm begging you. Somehow or other, just connect with Krishna. That level of mercy that he could see, Lord Nityananda could see, people are suffering. The only way that their suffering is going to stop is if they connect to Krishna. We have to adopt that mood. At least with ourselves. At least with me. I'm suffering, actually. I'm suffering because I'm separated from Krishna. I don't know Krishna. I'm not serving Krishna. And no matter how much I organize my life and how much I set it up, I'm still going to feel that. So we have to become instruments of Lord Nityananda's mercy. Because by becoming the instruments of his mercy, we'll also attract that mercy. And like I said in the very beginning, there's a pathway to that. Vaishnav Seva should be our highest aspiration. Whether you're a new devotee, old devotee, big devotee, small devotee, this devotee, that devotee, if you're a devotee, my position is to serve you. We say Prabhu, hey Prabhu. What does Prabhu mean? It means master. Do I really, when I call you Prabhu, do I really see that you're my master? Do I really feel that? Prabhu, what are you doing? Get out of here. That's our highest aspiration, Vaishnav Seva. When we serve the Vaishnavas, we attract the mercy of Guru. Guru Tattva is an expression of Lord Nityananda's mercy. Through Lord Nityananda's mercy, he will petition Lord Chaitanya to forgive our offenses. And Lord Chaitanya will nicely take us to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. And that's what we're aiming for. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you all so much. It's a great joy. I really felt awkward. I tried to get out of this class a few times, and they didn't let me. And I realized it's Lord Nityananda's mercy, because I was just feeling, what can I speak? There's so many great devotees here who know so much more than me, and I realized it's Lord Nityananda making some nice arrangements for me to become a little humble and realize, yeah, you are disqualified. Get over it and get on with what's at hand. So I thank you all so much, and please put yourself in the mood of Lord Nityananda and continue on, because this is the most joyful thing you'll ever do. And it may not feel that way sometimes, but victory's right around the corner.
I just wanted to share with you something I heard today, that the jewelry, Lord Nityananda, as he went to Bengal, started wearing a lot of different kinds of jewelry, ankle bells and bracelets and armlets and necklaces and earrings, and people would criticize him. But actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that each piece of Nityananda's jewelry was the 9 processes of devotional service, representing the 9 processes of devotional service.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Do you know what that inspires me to do? Is to beg you, could you please give class on this topic sometime? We'd love to hear from you. In the mood of a beggar, I'll beg you afterwards. But I'm going to stop here. And we have a real treat because Priya Kishori is here, and Priya Kishori is going to sing some bhajans about Lord Nityananda. And I was hoping that she would do this at the beginning, because then I wouldn't have to talk. But somehow it didn't work out. So now we'll finish with that. And I believe we have like 10 minutes, and the Abhishek's at 7. Is that correct? Do you mind? Okay, just one moment. Thank you all so much. It's a real pleasure to be here with all of you. And hey, it's Thursday. Is it Thursday? I think it's Thursday. You all probably work today. And Lord Nityananda notices that you came here and you're taking time out of your busy lives to be here today. And that's a good step to attract his mercy. And so keep taking steps and you'll get that mercy even more. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.